Are you ready? And welcome to Horror in the Pit, motherfuckers. What's up? I'm your host, Fear, and as always, I have Artistic Dreamer.
Hello.
She's
I'm
so
a regular
spooky.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a couple of weeks. We've had a lot going on. We ended up heading down to Winnipeg. Like, I'm sure if you're listening to Talk Life, anything that we need medically, we have to drive 8 hours to go do it. So
It's a nightmare.
So there was a lot going on. So a couple of weeks, no shows. We're still trying to get it out on the pod apps. Unfortunately,
So yeah, there's been some adjustment, but
yeah,
we're in the beginnings of things, and that's kind of to be expected.
Oh yeah,
we're
no,
just
I'm not worried
starting
about
things out. We're
Yeah, for sure.
Be patient with us, but we're trying our best.
They're like, shut up and just get into it. This week we've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. Number one, we just finished watching Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
And the last couple of days, we have binged through both seasons of Good Omens.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was fucking heartbreaking. We will be discussing a lot of spoilers, especially for Evil Dead, because that's exactly what we're here to talk about. But we're going to briefly touch on Good Omens, so there's going to be a spoiler for the season 2 of Good Omens.
Yeah, as always, spoilers are going to happen. We dissect things, we get into it, we spoil shit like crazy, but that's how we discuss it. So if you haven't seen either Bad or Good Omens, I want to keep calling it Bad Omens, Good Omens or Evil Dead Rise, go watch that, then come back and check this out. You have been warned.
Exactly. But yeah, I found the ending was fucking heartbreaking. Like, I was just, my soul was shattered.
So you watched the first season, I think you and Mom.
Yeah, when it first came out.
And you had talked about it quite a bit with me.
Yeah, I had discussed it.
But we had never really watched it.
Yeah.
And the second season was coming out. It was a big deal.
Yeah, so I was like, we gotta watch it. Like, all three of us were rewatching the first one, and then we're watching the second one, because it had been a year or so before. It had been years since I had watched the season again, so I thought it would be good to rewatch it, freshen it up.
Well, absolutely. And can we take a quick sec to complain about TikTok?
Yes.
And how these fuckers have an inability to
God.
warn you about spoilers?
It fucking pissed me right off, because so I was just coming out of work, and I was like, well, I have to wait for you to come pick me up. So I was like, I'm just going to scroll on TikTok for a minute.
Yeah.
And the moment I fucking opened TikTok, I see Crowley and Aziraphale's kiss, like, immediately. And it's so quick that I can't even scroll out of the app quick enough. I can't get out of the app fast enough. It's playing in a romantic edit or something.
Yeah.
And beautiful edit. I love it. But spoiler warnings, right the fuck? It was a day before.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, it's in there was what did Logic got spoiled for something I can't remember. Oh, I think it was the Transformers movie. And to the point where he's humming and hawing whether we're gonna watch it at all. And this dude lived for those movies.
Oh, I'm so concerned about what kind of spoilers.
Yeah, I have no idea. And he said he wouldn't tell me, but he was super pissed.
Oh no.
And I don't really go on social media other than to actually post things too much anymore because of this shit.
Yeah.
Nobody takes that. It's like they just want to be the first to put it out. They want
everyone to see it.
Exactly. And it's fucking annoying. I hate this shit.
Yeah.
Like, just give a 2-second little spoiler alert or whatever the fuck at the beginning.
Something to get your bearings to decide if you
that way that person can decide whether or not they want to see it.
Exactly.
But no. Anyway, so kind of give the general gist of because you want to go in depth, or you just want to kind of briefly talk over it?
I figured we would briefly discuss it. We don't really have to go too in depth about it, because we're here to talk more horror than we are here to talk about gay romance.
Well, yeah, true. But at the same time, Good Omens kind of does fit in the sort of a
little,
because it's highly intense, and I think that's kind of it's not horror in the sense of horror, but we are talking about the the Antichrist. We are talking about demons and angels and the devil and all this kind of stuff. So
it's all very impactful and like a heavy topic.
Absolutely heavy. And like I said, it's shit that I have been complaining about for a long fucking time. Anybody who's been a fan of mine over the last 10 years, I'm anti-religion. Not necessarily anti-religion. I'm anti-fucking establishment religion. I don't like this sort of, you have to go to a church, you have to give me money for you to be able to talk to Jeebus. That shit's all bullshit. If you want to believe something to yourself or to find like-minded people, that is totally cool. But I don't think at any point should you have to pay in order for your religion to be validated or anything like that.
And also, I don't believe that religion should be an excuse or a reason to cause harm.
No, absolutely not.
Religion is something that you believe. Religion may prohibit you from something. It does not prohibit others. And you should not treat others horribly for not abiding by your religion.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Being human is to err and to believe what you want to believe. And we used to be able to have conversations about things. And whether you and that person believe the same thing, that's fine. But you used to be able to talk about it. Now it's like, so like, this is what I believe. You're a piece of shit if you don't believe what I believe. Go fuck yourself. And anyway, I'm getting way off topic because at the end of the day, it falls back onto how many wars have been fought in God's name versus how many wars have been fought in the devil's name. Yeah. And there's a little bit of that sort of in-depth kind of look between the angel and the demon, where it comes down to talking about, well, who is the actual evil side? Like, yes, God is supposed to be the almighty or whatever, but they're fucking killing people. They're taking things away, children. They're killing fucking livestock. He's doing or he or she or whatever deity you believe in. Most people think God's a woman now. Yeah. It's Alanis Morissette, though. But anyway, all these evil things, like let's say the flood, which that whole thing is so stupid, but a great flood, all these people, they drown the entire planet other than this fucking old guy and all his people.
And then the rainbow is a promise not to do it again.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Anyway, super interesting. One of the big issues or non-issues with it is the fact that clearly the demon and the angel are in love with each other, or at least it might have started out as a bromance that just over time it might not be a sexual thing. It might just be like, that is my soulmate sort of situation where it's like,
no, I don't really think it has to be sexual or something. I think it's more simply romantic, and yes, soulmate, but also romantic. Like I feel like you can see it. For like centuries, at least Crowley has loved him. Aziraphale, I don't think Aziraphale has always loved Crowley in that way, but I do think he started to develop it eventually, and he's just kind of been settling with that. Like the way that he says, "Oh, but he does love to rescue me." Like, he loves to like he loves to make him happy. He loves to do little things like rescue me. Like he's a damsel in distress, twirling his hair. Like
exactly.
That's exactly how it feels, and that's like let's say a lot of people would say if you made them a man and a woman, everyone would think they're romantic. If you do that, you instantly think, oh my God, they're flirting. Oh my God, they're in love with each other. And that's why some people find it harder to read gay romances, because they don't see it as much, or because like straight media is very, very normalized and there's a lot of it. There's way more straight couples than any other kind of couples in media, even now that we've progressed. And that's why people struggle to read and understand gay media sometimes. So like when it's not as obvious in your face, they're kissing all the time, they're touching all the time. Like when it's not obvious romance, they struggle to read it. And that's what I find very interesting is like, I get how some people can try to say like, well, they might just be bromance, but that kiss at the end says, no, we were always right. They were always in love with each other.
No, and that's the thing, and that's what I mean. Like, for them, it wasn't this sort of like sexual tension. It was just like
romantic
they,
tension, really.
yeah, they just grew to love being around each other and
So
helping
much.
each other and that sort of thing. And I think the way that it's done is absolutely brilliant. I love the actors. I think they both do an excellent job.
I agree.
And yeah, I'm very interested to see. Hopefully, it gets a third season. I haven't heard if it's been greenlit or not yet.
I don't know. I'm keeping a close eye, and I might Google it to be sure because I haven't seen anything yet. And I really do love that the reason why Crowley was finally going to confess is because a lesbian told him that he could be with him. And you know, that makes me wonder if Crowley never actually thought that he could be with him. That he always just thought that this was going to be their reality. Like,
maybe
he never realized that there could be more. You know what I mean? And that's why he's so devastated when his angel throws it all away.
Right.
Because he says, "You could have had us. We could have had us." Like, that line makes me think, you know, all of these things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when we do get a like common couple, a male and female, with Gabriel and Beelzebub.
Female presenting, at least.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, who the fuck knows? Like, it's all like, well, and these are just fictional characters, you know. But I do like the fact that there was a lot of like females or female presenting, like as Michael was a female presenting person, where in the Bible it's all dudes, right? Because fuck chicks. Yeah. But like, yeah. So and then that's pretty on the nose, and then between that and the lesbian couple, like the demon's like, oh yeah, you know what? It isn't just we're buds. Like I love this dude and
I can be with him. I can tell him that I want to be with him and I can be with him. I don't think he ever realized that was a possibility. Like, I don't think he knew, you know what I mean?
Now, do you think because it's never gone into any sort of whether or not angels are anatomically correct or who is, if they're male or female or any of that stuff, because like we know both actors are males.
Yes.
But I'm just wondering if the angel will now have a problem with it. Like, will they go into that sort of strange homosexual thing? But at the same time, they were trying to get a lesbian couple together, so I don't think it really mattered.
And that's, I think, why they did it. Because, like, in the first season, they kind of get two straight couples together, sort of. Because they have Pulsifier and the witch. And the whore. And then they also have whore and the witch finder.
Yeah.
So they have two different straight couples. And that's why I really love that they did do, like, a lesbian couple. Because at first I was like, huh. But then I was like, but in the first one, they got two fucking straight couples together. So it makes complete sense to me that they were like, well, let's like flip it and use this as like basically gay ammunition.
Well, and I did think it was interesting that essentially from season 1 to season 2, we drop everything.
Yeah.
Like, Damien's not actually Damien. They called him Adam. Isn't really a thing anymore, even though at the end
he's
of
just
this.
A kid now.
Why is he though?
Well, that's the thing, is that I think that they're gonna tie back into that in season 3.
Well, and then
that's what I was thinking.
And then the witch, who's been a 400-year descendant, gets the cheat sheets.
She burned it.
And
I was
she burns
pissed
it
about that. But
yeah,
I mean,
like,
I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, there has to be stuff in there that she could use to her advantage, or yeah, like,
or is important, like, your lover will die if you don't do this, like when you want to save him.
Yeah,
like,
now you don't know
exactly,
and it could have been something simple, but
no shit. And that's what I don't really like about that decision. But I feel like those open ends will be tied up, and that's why I feel kind of confident that there's going to be a season 3 if they can get writers and and stuff like that to figure that shit out. But that will be that's going to be a stopping force in many kinds of projects right now. So I'm not surprised. Like, there's many things right now that are struggling to get greenlit or get built or do anything because of the strikes. Yeah, and
just like for our side of it, just pay the people, man. They deserve it. They do great work. You fucking CEO billionaires are fucking going on wild retreats and I'm sure hunting humans and all kinds of crazy ass stuff. Like, fuck off. Like, we need to start taking care of people.
We all need more money to survive in this crazy world. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like it is. It's bullshit. But anyway, super cool TV show. Check it out.
Yes, totally.
There's only 12 episodes, 12 hours.
Oh yeah. You can binge it real easily if you love binging. Please do, because we are trying to encourage a season 3, because that was a ridiculously sad ending. It is a little bit of a sad ending. If you've heard from this far, you can probably figure out some aspects of why. But it's really good.
Absolutely.
Now moving on to our frustrating horror movie of the day.
The main attraction, Evil Dead Rise. So before we dip into it too hard, there things I want to say. I love Evil Dead. I love everything about Evil Dead. The original, the Sam Raimi one, I have owned on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. I don't know if there's a 4K copy. I'm sure one day I will have to own that as well. It's one of the, at the time when I watched it at age 5. I should not have seen it at age 5. Fucked me up a little bit. Number 2 pencils were a nightmare for a long time. Anyway, but it was one of those movies that I saw that I was like, man, these guys did this shit on a shoestring budget and made a fucking killer movie. And that from the dawn of time was like, man, I want to make movies. Like that made me want to make movies. It was like
the most traumatic and scarring like character event ever.
Exactly.
Your
like
fucking narrative shift.
It was just wild at the beginning. It was far too early, but once I grew on me and I got to know it and I got to realize what's real, what's not, that sort of thing. And like that's what I've always done with you kids is like we'll put something on and I'll be like, okay, so this is just blah 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 and this is how it's done and that sort of thing. And I think that's you got to do that. Don't just set a kid down and let them watch some demonic thing tear people apart.
And this is exactly why I can stand to eat most of the time while watching Grey's Anatomy. Not always. It depends on like what's happening and how realistic it looks.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I can tell myself, oh, that's just tubes. And like, I can tell myself it's not real. My brain knows it's not real. So I'm just like, I'll eat my freaking food.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the original trilogy, big fan. And then in 2013, they came out with the remake, which I was like, at the time, I'm like, dear God, please don't fuck this up. And they didn't. They did an excellent job. And then 10 years later, this year, we get Evil Dead Rise. And so one of the interesting things about it is technically you don't need to know anything from the original series and or the remake. They just throw it in, which is good and bad. And here's why I feel that way. It's good because literally people that have never been involved in that sort of, I don't even know what you want to say, that it's a very interesting demonic gore genre that you don't need to know anything. This still tells the same story, which is why I'm annoyed because we now have Evil Dead and then the remake. Evil Dead 2 technically is very similar. And then this one, all doing exactly the same thing. Somebody finds the book, somebody plays the incantation, and then shit happens. And I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's kind of just retelling the same story over and over again, but changing the settings. You know what I mean?
Well, how would you not do that? Like, what else would you do? You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it depends what they do now. Because like I said, every other movie gets concluded. You find out that the only way to do it is bodily dismemberment. So right now, something is still loose. Because the girl at the very beginning of the movie, which they Tarantino to bring around at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
That chick is still out there. So the demon is still loose. So I guess it's a matter of what do you do now? Like, and I have no idea. I haven't looked into it. I don't know if they're looking to make
another
to
one,
continue the series,
yeah,
that sort of thing, or not. Because if you're not, then I don't know. I guess you sort of did a good job, but you let like, and also the way that it ends. Yeah, we're jumping all over, man. If you just buckle up. The way that it ends like it's it's over, but it's not. Like there's still what 7 or 5 or 6 people in.
See, I'm not convinced that's true.
Well, like, what do you mean? You think they were part of that beast, or you think?
I think they had to have eventually, because they would have showed us that they're remaining. They just didn't show us, which makes me seem like they didn't tell us they're there. Makes me seem skeptical that they're still there.
Mm.
Unless they're like, oh, bamboozled, they were here the whole time. We just didn't show you at all.
Well, really, because the last we see of them is they're saying that there's no way out or whatever as the elevator drops. So they're there. They're still on that floor. They just got to figure out how to get out, I guess.
I guess. Maybe the elevator won't come back up to them.
Well, eventually somebody's got to come and find them, unless they assume everybody is. No, because there's still obviously some people that live there. The girl that died and then rose up from the water was on a completely different floor and didn't realize anything until the carnage, which is interesting considering how many shotgun blasts were there.
Yeah. How did she not hear anything above? Okay, so yeah, let's say that's how it worked out. Why was she in a different elevator? Why was the elevator she was in perfectly fine?
No, the elevator didn't work, right? She took the stairs down.
Oh, she took the stairs. Oh my god, yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, she took the stairs. I'm mixing up scenes because the one bitch went down the elevator the first time and then she got yeeted around.
Yeah.
That's what I'm mixing up. So yeah, she took the stairs. And how were the stairs okay from the lower level? Like, were they fixed at the lower level? Or?
I don't know. See, it didn't kind of tell you that, right? Like, it didn't say, like, oh, it was only broke from this. I don't even, and, like, maybe I should have paid more attention. I don't know what floor they were on. Us.
Yeah, no, we didn't really.
From the very beginning. Because she was on 5. Mm-hmm. So if they were on 7, maybe she wouldn't hear gunshots. But if they were on 6, I think you would hear gunshots.
No, 100%.
And you would probably hear the elevator fall and all kinds of stuff.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Although in the beginning, her boyfriend gives her clozapine or whatever the hell to knock her out. So maybe she was on drugs and couldn't hear it. I don't know. I wasn't really listening. Maybe she said, oh, I passed out last night. We just didn't catch it.
It's possible.
But I did like the beginning. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
To me, it was kind of like, and I get it.
Didn't make a lot of sense.
So one of the notes that I made was just the amount of like homages to the all the originals. Mm-hmm. So the beginning, it's a cabin in the woods and shit starts happening.
Cabin in the woods.
The cable's wrapping around the mom. It's very much like when the chick gets raped by the tree in the first one.
Sounds so concerning.
It was the eyeball popping out and going into the other guy's mouth.
That was gross.
Yeah. So the reason silly shit like that happened is Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are massive fans of the Three Stooges, so they love slapstick stupid comedy.
I honestly don't think it's. I feel like it throws everything off.
To add the
like
comedic act.
But yeah. Maybe I'm too critical, or I don't get the joke because I'm too young or something. I don't know.
It could be.
I just think it's unnecessary when you're trying to maintain a vibe to throw in something that's supposed to look funny but doesn't really look funny.
Yeah, and I think, and that's that's why I'm kind of pointing these things out, because one, you haven't seen the other ones yet.
Yeah.
But you don't need to.
No.
But along the way, I was pointing things out just to kind of help out. But a lot of it, like these things that I'm saying, are pretty much like nods to the originals.
Yeah.
Same with like the mom outside when she's trying to get at the little girl. Mm-hmm. That is a big part of the original because they lock the sister in the basement, and so she spends most of the movie in that little crease, just like staring at people. And
creepy.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that, to me, that was kind of a mod. The laughing, that too, there's a lot of that in the original where it's just constant laughing, and he's like, "Shut up!" When you watch the original, you're not going to find it scary because the time frame it's from, but it's weird and like
it's unsettling.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. It's so most new horror movies rely heavily on like this sort of like, you kind of know when something's going to happen, like
little, yeah.
the way that they use the sound and everything, where they try to attack you that way. I find old horror movies just kind of like made you feel uneasy while you were watching it. And I don't know how to describe that. Like, I just feel it's not as crisp as new horror movies where you can hear every single
sounds,
exactly. There's so many extra little things.
No, that makes complete sense to me because like they're not building an ambiance. They're just they're shoving you in.
They're like, this is the atmosphere instead of like you experiencing the atmosphere.
And we're used to that at this point.
So at this point, you need to that because if you don't, like your stupid fucking idiot nanosecond mind brain, if you don't hear all these little things and things going on, you're like, and you tune the fuck out.
Yeah, sometimes it's
where like back then, like you would watch the film and there would be weird. Yeah, there would just be weird atmospheric sort of, you feel like, holy fuck, I'm actually stuck in this cabin with these people, where I didn't feel that too much in this. I almost feel like they just kept themselves in the in the apartment way more than they needed to.
It was all so stupid. I'm sorry. It was really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Me and Logan both commented multiple times on how none of them had any survival skills or fucking intelligence at all. Like, they all made such foolish fucking decisions. One, why does a kid climb into a hole that is spontaneously happening?
Hey guys, look at this.
After an earthquake, he could die. He could literally die. Like, he could climb in there and it could go again, and then
like I would think most kids wouldn't just be like, "Hey, there's a hole after this." Yeah, exactly.
He's old enough to know better.
Yeah, and it doesn't give off that sort of vibe of this guy's an idiot asshole, right?
Exactly. He seems like he should be smart enough to know fucking better.
Yeah.
And he just keeps like going in, and it doesn't make sense because like, if they wanted to, they could try to say like a demon tempted him or something, and they could add like whispers in or something. But no, the entire time it just looks like he's just fucking, I gotta figure this out. Like,
yeah, so exactly. Stupid. And that's what I mean. There was no character
Sherlock
building
Holmes
for.
Yeah.
We didn't like if they gave us a little bit of background that this kid was a rebel troublemaker. He was constantly doing shit like that. Then you could be like, okay, he would do that.
Research things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
why did he
and I would like to think if you, let's say you are dumb enough to climb into a hole of an old bank vault prior to or after an earthquake, and then you come upon
this book full of bugs.
No. First you come upon a giant Jesus statue.
Oh yeah, the giant
and
Jesus.
Then thousands of different rosaries and beads and stuff like that. Everybody knows what that shit is, whether or not you believe in good, evil, all that stuff.
Clearly to keep
if you come across that, I would like to think that 99% of people would be like, nah, fam.
Cool, I'm out. Thanks. Yeah. This is a bad sign. I'm taking it as a warning.
Yeah, I'm going to dip out of here. No, this kid presses on. And then, yes, even after he sees all the warning signs.
There's a bunch of bugs.
There's a bunch of bugs on the book. And he's like, I'm stealing this.
I'm still taking that book. It has fucking teeth on it, bro.
And like there were so many things. Yeah, and there was just so many things afterwards that I'm like, I don't know if they'll touch upon or if it was just throwaway. Because in the same thing, in the same box that had all these records, there was a whole bunch of letters and stuff. Yeah. Like there was so many things that now I'm like, well, I want to know more about that.
What are all those letters?
Is there a chance that maybe we will get that story? That would be kind of interesting. Like the original sort of like, this is how it came to be or whatever.
This is how it all started.
Like that would be kind of interesting. I'm trying to think of, I think I had one more. Oh, the way that the blood came out of the elevator, definitely like a nod to The Shining. Yeah.
It was cool or whatever.
Yeah, but
I just okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
I need to talk about how many fucking times the characters fell down and struggled to get up. Can we please stop fucking doing this in our... Please stop. Please stop. If you do it once or twice in a horror movie, maybe I'll let you slide. But I'm sick of having it happen 7 to 8 times and in multiple fucking scenes. They just keep tripping and they scrumble around because they're scared. What the fuck? Like,
well, and like, yes, and that is terrifying, but I think that like stemmed from the slasher days when they were running outside in uneven terrain. That I can understand.
I can understand.
You can slip, if it's a little bit wet,
in
you
a
can
fucking apartment?
you can twist. Yeah, I mean, this is like just a regular ass apartment.
Yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, if I chased you right now in this house, you think you're tripping?
No, but also, like, hasn't it been proven that humans get actually more accurate on things when they're in panic, especially a certain level of panic that is continuous?
I mean, I don't know the science behind that, but it sounds accurate. I know when I've been in situations where it's like a panic or that sort of thing. The adrenaline hits and
exactly.
you do.
And that's what I don't understand is that I don't feel like that's often portrayed properly in horror movies. They're just like, oh, they're going to stumble around because they're scared. But usually from what I've seen and like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I read something about that at some point. Because I remember Googling, why do they always stumble around in horror movies? And people
why
were
do
like,
people fall?
They're not supposed to do that. They should actually be more accurate because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be. I'm gonna do it.
Well, I think that they're supposed to be falling because they're looking back at the killer or whatever.
And that's ridiculous too. Why look back? Like, you want to look back at that horrific thing and keep
yeah,
looking
like
at it?
No, but if you look back, then you reduce your speed. I don't want to know how far away it is behind me. I just want to get the fuck going. But I don't know. So yeah, there are definitely some frustrating points to this film. I think there was a lot of good scares. But
really?
Yeah, but nothing that really... I liked the cheese grater. I thought that was a nice, brilliant little...
I see, and I feel like that was just meh.
2 cheese?
Yes.
I liked it.
Cheese grater, really? Like...
Yeah, well, they're thinking outside the box. What can we fucking cut somebody up with that you don't see every day? Like maybe a pizza slicer? Like, I don't know. I like that. I thought that was cool. I did think it was ridiculous that she listened to the final record and it straight up was like, no matter anything you do, you must dismember them.
And then she just stabbed her.
Everybody just kept stabbing people instead of like actually doing anything. And I'm just like, come on, you literally just heard this priest say, this is what you have to do. I cut these motherfuckers up. I tried to burn them. Nothing happened. And then, the only thing is total dismemberment. And she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stab you with some scissors.
That seems smart.
And then, like, I'm going to stab you with scissors and then fuck off. Literally.
Oh my God. She literally sat with the child in the fucking doorway of the fucking apartment for a good minute to discuss
there was way too many of those, like,
okay, so
everything's okay.
Everything's great. Yeah.
Let me tell you my plan.
We're really close to the fucking guy who was about to kill us a second ago.
Yeah, nah, fam. There was a lot of that was super annoying. And that's what I mean. And so here's some of my issues with it. And yes, I know I'm an asshole. I don't feel that Beth was a badass enough character to be able to win this movie. You know what I mean?
Sorry?
Beth, who ends up essentially being Ash, having the shotgun, having the chainsaw, defeating the evil. Mm-hmm. The entire movie, I at no point thought that this chick had her shit together.
At literally no fucking point she had her shit together at all.
Other than the very end when she looks like a badass with the chainsaw and shit. But I'm sorry, the whole rest of the movie, she was kind of
chaotic,
a tool. Yeah, she was chaotic at all time.
The littlest child alone for long enough for her to almost let her mother in and let her kill her.
Yeah, they were terrible at leaving people in the room with other dead people shit. Or like, here, you go stand over here. We're going to go do stuff over here.
And then
like,
they tied down...
we should split up.
Tied down what's her fucking face?
Yeah.
The other sister. I didn't bother to learn their names. I don't think we ever did really truly learn their names enough, except for Ellie, who was the the main demon bitch. Anyway, they tied her down to the bed, dude, because she got out pretty fucking easily. Like, and then is there no doors in this fucking place? Why did they not lock the door? Leave the body in there and lock the door in case it reanimates. Where is y'all logic?
Well, that's what I mean. So you've already seen your mom die and then come back.
You're not thinking your sister's also going to die and come back? Like,
yeah.
Where is your fucking logic, guys?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's little stupid things like that. And I get it. And I do have, like, look, I'm going to nitpick a lot of stuff, but did I enjoy watching the film? Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But as a writer, I think it was very shittily done.
And there was just so many moments where you're like, really? Like, when all the people in the fucking hallway die, like, none of them thought to run back to their fucking rooms. They just sit there in horror and let her kill them.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a lot of moments in that movie that just seem like people are really, really stupid when they get scared. And a lot of the times that's not true. And I get that that's how it has to be with horror movies, but, like...
Yeah.
I think it's actually scarier if you try to run and you fail. Because that means that, like...
Yeah, that it was going to kill you. Like, you tried, you failed.
Exactly.
But when you don't try and you somehow win,
you
like,
just
go
look
fuck
like
yourself.
a wimp, and it gets old. It gets old because a lot of horror movies do that. Where they trip and they fall and they can't get up all the time. And then also they die that way. Or... they die just standing there. Oh my god! Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Why do we do that? I know some people might die that way, but it gets really overplayed. The easy victims.
Yeah, and I think some people just take that as the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they go into the movie like, okay, we need a handful of people. We need to kill them in interesting ways or not. And it doesn't necessarily matter how we do it. Mm-hmm. We know that there's going to be a beginning where whatever it is gets released. We know that there's going to be a battle, and then in the end, we know we want this. Yeah. We want our main person to be covered in blood, to have a chainsaw, to tick all these Evil Dead boxes for. And as a massive fan of Evil Dead, it bothered me. Like I said, did I enjoy it? Sure. Would I watch it again? Probably not.
Agreed.
I'll watch Evil Dead any day of the day. Mm-hmm. Day of the day. But that one, no. To me, there's not much to it. It wasn't... To me, it showed what we can do with Evil Dead, and that's why I'm hoping whatever they do next is a continuation. But at the same time, like, they're making the... demons as essentially indestructible
in a way,
and so that kind of makes it really hard for people to win.
I agree, but also, like, honestly, one of the things that I found really disappointing about this is that they stayed in, like, the one apartment pretty much the whole time. Like, why didn't they go into, like, other apartments and shit? If the other people died and they have their apartments open, like, it's not like they fucking locked them when they left.
Yeah.
Like,
that's because it's cheaper to have one location.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous, guys.
Having more than one set is a pain in the ass.
Way scarier if the fucker chased them around multiple rooms and, like, they accidentally got split up or something, so it was like more of like a
cat and mouse.
Yeah, but what I'm also thinking of is, like, a lot of what I thought of during this movie was, like, clickers, because there was a lot of noises that were very similar to clickers, but a lot of behavior as well that was a little bit similar to clickers. So, like, not that they function the same, they're very different things, but I feel like it would be similar to, like, that, where, like, in the video game The Last of Us, you can get, like, separated, and then you have to make sure that everyone, like, survives, and you kill all the clickers and stuff like that. And I think it's scarier because it's a wider range, and you don't always know where they are.
Yeah.
And especially because the demons are not clickers. They don't click where they move, which would be even scarier. You can't hear where they're fucking going. Yeah,
and, like, I don't know, not to be a dick, but I feel like horror has outplayed the, like, bone cracking, like...
Exactly, I totally agree.
That happens so much now. Like, originally, the first couple of times you saw it in movies, you're like...
Settled you?
Well, yeah, and you're like, okay, like, whatever this is breaking her bones.
Yeah.
but that none of that's the case anymore. They make the cricket cracks, but then like they move totally normal.
Yeah.
Like, no, if you broke bones in this lady, then
she should be moving way more fucked
yeah.
up. Or looking way more fucked up, either way.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's what I mean. I thought there was too many cop-outs, too many easy, like, here, we're going to do this, rather than develop anything overly new.
I agree. And it wasn't that scary. Like, it was more just, like, there was some possibly scary elements to it, but the way that it was done, it wasn't that scary. No,
but I do think that they did really well, whether it was the like the atmosphere that they were building through the more like the tension that they were building, because there was a couple of times both you and Logic were like, oh my god, like I can feel this panic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't good enough for the entire thing.
Like, and like when they built all that panic and stuff like that, it was always like a let down. Like, it wasn't like, whoa. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like, okay, 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 all right.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was. So, honestly, that would be like the thing that I would love to see the most, is if it was like more like a horror game style where like it chases you around a larger place, because like the single apartment was really like, I feel like it was really restricting for the plot.
Well, I think that again goes back to the cabin in the woods.
Maybe, yeah.
One location, everything happens. But again, we've seen it to death. But
we've seen that. Exactly. And we've seen it a lot in a lot of things.
So you take it, and then like, and this is part of the problem with it. You take it from the cabin in the woods and put it in a skyscraper, and still only show the cabin in the woods.
Yep.
You have an entire building that these things could just wreak havoc on. And they chose to show you just the same shit that they did all the time.
And that's what I don't really enjoy, because I feel like they had a lot more. There was this one horror game, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's a really, really big apartment. And obviously it would not be an apartment that anyone would be able to afford, but it was like a really big apartment. And then there was this like monster demon thing that's like chasing you around in it, but it also has access to the outside of the apartment too. And it starts to go into other sides of the rooms and stuff like that. And it just scares you the whole time.
Nice.
And it keeps calling the phone. So you have to keep going all the way across the apartment to go to the kitchen to get the phone. And then something breaks or something in a different room. So like, it's kind of like you're trying to figure it out the entire time, but also you're very scared because there's like bloody warnings and stuff like that. And it's a pretty good, like, just like a horror game that isn't like a lot of detail put into it. Like, it's one of those kind of shitty looking ones, but like, not to put it down, just it's not very
and one thing that I
graphic.
did like that they did in this movie was the brief time where essentially she called her sister on the cell phone and said like, I'm burning alive, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
There was a couple of little like there's this has been my fucking problem with horror movies in like the last 10 years. A lot of it is really good ideas just falling flat.
Area, yeah.
They just fall flat, and it's unfortunate.
And what I also really liked was in the beginning when Jess started reciting the book that she was reading. I love that. That was so creepy. I really enjoyed it.
That's another homage to the original.
Oh, fucking.
Because in the original, the one girl is sitting at the other looking out the window, and these other two girls are playing cards, and so they were guessing the card. And so then she, across the room, starts guessing every card.
Oh, so it's sort of the same thing, but not really.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. So it's like, and that's what I mean. As a fan, I did enjoy it. I just, maybe I hold too much of it, you know? Like, I really want every Evil Dead to fucking kick ass.
Well, and I just think that we have to be kind of critical of movies to a certain extent because they're meant to entertain us.
Right.
Like, we are the ones to entertain, to be entertained. Like, we are the audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And as critics, we we nitpick, and that's kind of what we do. And
Yeah.
it's not a matter of do we hate every movie, but these are the things that we see, and we feel, some things could have been done better. Some things were done really well. And there is some new movies coming out, and it's not like I know people are going to eventually listen to our show and be like, oh my God, they just shit on new horror movies. No, there are some really good new horror movies.
There is.
Unfortunately, this to me just wasn't one of them. It's enjoyable. If you're not a fan of Evil Dead, you could go watch it, and you would probably like it even more because you don't know all the backstories
shit.
And all that stuff. But again, a lot of times for me, it falls back to, would I watch it again? And with this one, it's a no for me. I wouldn't watch it again.
And that's fair. I don't think I would watch it again either, just because it wasn't as entertaining as I was hoping a little bit. Just in some ways, because I am nitpicky. Because like I said, I feel like it was very restricted to the one room, and it would have been way cooler if it extended further out, because like they locked her out in the hallway for a while, and she didn't think to go in any rooms. Like, well,
not even just that. Like, so the family locks her out, and everybody else that's in the hallway isn't like, that's a genius idea, I'm going to lock my door. And then she would just be sitting in the hallway until I guess she figured to go through the fucking things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, though, the daughter did get possessed, so that would have been a problem inside.
And that kind of annoyed me too, because it was such a, like, I get how it works, the possession, but it was such a small little cut. Like, oh, great. Like,
yeah, and I get foreshadowing, get off my balls, but I could tell right away she was going to use the scissors. I could tell right away that because she was making her own homemade tattoo gun, that was going to come into play. And I get it, but I don't care. Just because you put in story tropes doesn't make it a good story, But
I agree.
I don't know.
There's definitely some good things to it and some things to it. Overall, it was enjoyable. I'd probably give it like a 3.5 out of 10.
Dang. I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a halfway.
But you like the old stuff, so it matters more to you.
Yeah.
But I'm just like a...
No, and I think on IMDb it has like an 8 out of 10, which is another reason. And again, that falls back to, is that people that just saw the homages and were like, thank you? Or was it people that had no fucking clue and just went into it and was like, this is a fucking crazy demon movie?
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, man, you should check out the 80s.
Yeah.
Or the 70s.
I just really felt like there could have been way more plot and way more character development and way more everything, really. But like,
and I think that's
of the cheesy demon stuff.
No, it's got to be cheesy because of Evil Dead.
Not as much, okay?
But here's my thing. I agree, because for you to say that there's not enough plot and whatnot, I think is very interesting, because to me, it's all been done. You're rehashing this. It's like every time you see a Spider-Man movie and they tell you how he gets his powers. I know that shit. I'd stop telling me that shit.
Well, yeah, but that's because it's different for you than me, because I don't know that stuff.
And that's what I'm saying.
That makes total sense.
That's why I think people going into it without knowing the rest of the shit
may not
probably enjoyed it.
Well. Or the opposite.
Yeah, because it all depends on how you feel, I guess. But
it does, yeah.
I want to know.
I'm a writer, so I know I'm more hypercritical, because I'm like, that should have been written better, but that's just me.
That should have been written better.
Yeah, that's just how I react.
Okay, so Dreamer gives it a 3.5. I give it a 5 out of 10. What were your thoughts? I want you guys to let me know.
Yeah, let us know.
It's not going to hurt my feelings if you feel like, man, this was the greatest movie. You don't know shit. That's fair, man.
Okay, it's your opinion. Yeah.
I have forgotten more horror movies than you've probably watched, and it's just everybody's their own thing. But let's start the dialogue. Tell me what you think. Did you like Good Omens? Did you like Evil Dead Rise? What are you looking forward to on season 3 of Good Omens? What are you looking forward to if they do another Evil Dead? What do you think that they should leave it alone? Exactly. Leave that shit in the comments. If you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share if you dig it. I know people are starting to actually watch these on YouTube, awesome. Which is cool. All in due time, if we can get to a place where things are financially better, I'd love to have these be videos as well.
Hell yeah.
For now, it's just audio. NFTFYB.com has got all of our stuff over there. For now, hopefully soon, we will get all of our podcasts out and available on Apple and Spotify and all that stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at artistic_dreamer. I spelled it with a YC at the end of artistic. And I believe you can find me on Threads as well if you want to.
Yeah, I don't know if people are still threading. We all jumped over off the well, it's not even Twitter now. It's called X or some stupid ass thing.
Twitter.
Anyway, the bottom line is at FYFC Studios for pretty much everything, or at fearandmdi. Check us out. Make sure you like, subscribe. If you are listening to this and this has gotten out to Apple and all that stuff, make sure you rate it on there so more people will know and whatnot. But until next time, run along, kiddies.